Hi friends, welcome to Venky's channel. In the previous video, we have learnt about the marquee tag. Today we are going to learn about the form tag and the input tag. So today we are going to discuss how to add forms in HTML. So let's open Sublime Text and let's remove what we have done in the previous video, and let's save our changes and open this file in browser. Now let's minimize the browser and go back to Sublime Text and let's add the form tag. We can create different types of forms such as a data entry form, a registration form, a login form, a sign up form. There are many types of forms. So let's learn about the common attributes of the form tag. So this is a must and should attribute of the form tag, which is name or ID. We can give any of these, name or ID. I am giving ID because ID is the most preferred one, and we have to follow a rule while giving this ID. If you are working in a company, the company will tell you what rule to follow. That is called as naming convention or the coding standard while giving the ID. The common naming convention is that for forms, we use the prefix FRM. Every form element should have a prefix. Since this is the direct form, I am giving FRM. If it's a text box, we have to give TXT. If it is a radio button, we have to give RDB. If it is a checkbox, we have to give CHK. If it is a drop-down list, we have to give DDL, and so on. Since this is a form, I am giving form or FRM, and after that we have to give the type of form we are creating. We are creating a registration form, so FRM registration. If you are creating a data entry form, you have to keep the ID as FRM login and make sure that this ID is meaningful. We should not give whatever we want in this ID. This ID will not be displayed on the browser, but it is very important because while processing the form or while storing the entered data into a database, we make use of the form ID. If this is not meaningful, the code will not look very good. And we can also give name instead of ID. So there is a name attribute also. We can even give the name attribute. And the next attribute is action. So let me give the action attribute. And in the action, we have to mention which page will process the form. In my case, the same document will process the form. So I am giving my first HTML document.html. If your form is processed by any other file, you have to give the name of that file. We process the form through scripting languages such as JavaScript, PHP or C#. In HTML, we will embed JavaScript code, but we are not going to learn JavaScript today. We are not going to learn how to process the form. If you want to know how to process HTML form, you can find other videos on YouTube. And let's learn about another attribute which is called as method. So let me give method equal to, there are two values of the method. One is get and one is post. The method attribute must contain any of these two values. It should not contain any other value. The most used is get. We are not going to discuss the difference between both these because that's not very important. And now let's save our changes and refresh the browser. There won't be any change because it will just create a form. We have not given anything in the form. So inside the form, let's write the form title. For writing the form title or the heading, we have to use a heading tag, which is first heading or H1. So in the H1, let me give registration form. Now let's save our changes and refresh the browser. Now let's align it to the center by giving align equal to center for the H1 tag. aligned equal to center. Now let's save our changes and refresh the browser. Now I have created the heading registration form. So let's create different fields with name, last name. Now let's go to Sublime Text and let's add 2 text boxes for entering the first name and the last name. So first let's write first name. We can format this text by using the font tag, but we are just going to enter simple text now. So let me give a colon after first name, and for adding a text box or any type of control like text box, checkbox, radio button, in this we use the input tag. So let me give input tag, and here the type is text because the user should be able to enter text into this box. And here let's remove name and let's write ID. So since this is a text box, we have to give text, which is our naming convention or our coding standard. So let us give text equal to fname. Fname is a shortcut for first name, and let's save our changes and refresh the browser. Now we can see that a text box is being displayed for first name. So we can click into this box and type our name. I have typed Venki. Like that we can type any name. Now let me remove this name and let's go back to Sublime Text and let's learn about a few more attributes. Another very important attribute of the text box is placeholder. So let me give placeholder equal to, in many text boxes we see that a grey color text is displayed saying enter your name, enter your last name, like that. So let me give enter your first name. Now let's save our changes and refresh the browser. Now you can see that in this box with a little lesser opacity or a bit of transparency, it's written enter your first name. So after we click on this and we type any one alphabet, the enter your first name or the placeholder will disappear. Another attribute of the text box is value. So that is the default value or the default text which is there in that. We can ignore this value if we want to be empty by default. So I am giving value as name. So now let's save our changes and refresh the browser. Now we can see that the default value is name. If we want to type any other, we have to remove this and then type our name. So in most of the cases we don't give this value. So let's remove this. And another attribute of this is max length. So let me give max length equal to 5. My name contains 5 characters. So this will allow only 5 characters. We can give any number over here. Now let's go to Google Chrome and let me refresh the browser. And now in this text box, let me type Venki. It will allow till here because the max length is 5 and I can't type any other after this. If I try to type C, it won't allow me to enter C. And another attribute of the text box is disabled. So disabled doesn't need the equal to and the double quotes. So let me remove it. Now let's save our changes and refresh the browser. Now you can see that the text box is disabled. We can't enter anything into this. We use this disabled attribute when the user is not required to enter text in this. For example, we have kept a checkbox saying I accept the terms and conditions. So until the user accepts the terms and conditions, the submit button or all these controls should be disabled. So as soon as the user accepts the terms and conditions, these should be enabled. So that is the use of the disabled attribute. Friends, in the next video, we will be learning how to add radio buttons or checkboxes into the form. Bye friends.